A lot of studies talk about the benefits of practicing gratitude and how that actually just helps us. I know how stressful leadership can be. There's a lot of pressure that comes with building a business, pressure to perform, make tough decisions. And then there's always these competing priorities. And it's really easy, I think, for our minds and our emotions to feel just overloaded. And want to offer some simple practical tools borrowed from mindfulness, borrowed from psychology, to help you cultivate more gratitude and emotional resilience as you continue in your entrepreneurial journey. And like I said, founders and executives, so much rides on our ability as leaders to regulate our own energy and stay focused. And when we're trapped in negative thought spirals or reactive emotional loops, we can't lead effectively, and we end up wasting, I want to call this, crucial bandwidth worrying and instead of moving the business forward strategically. But the good news is that gratitude, like I said, has been scientifically proven to boost mental performance. And you may know about that. Show of thumbs or hearts if you have understood that gratitude helps you feel better. And if you're not sure about that, then just think about how we feel whenever the holiday season comes upon us. How do you feel? Maybe you have a mix of emotions because, I acknowledge that the holiday season can stir up a wide range of emotions. Some of us have excitement and joy, and there's also stress and sadness and loneliness or anger. I'm not saying that we all experience holidays the same, but in general, at least in North America, we have this collective mindfulness, this collective awareness that we're trying to be, regardless of the ruthless origins of this holiday, we're trying to focus on gratitude. We're trying to focus on what even the physical things, the material possessions that we have that fill our hearts with appreciation and love and thankfulness. And it's easy to see. A lot of times we think it's the food, and that is true. But if you think about it, comfort food exists whether the holidays do or don't. So what is it particularly about Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all of these things, especially Thanksgiving, when we're coming together, that we have this collective gratitude and this awareness that we should be in this frame of mind? And how does that change us? How does it regulate our bodies and emotions? So there's a study that was done in 2017 by Kyung et al. And others, and it's talked about on Psychology Today. I won't bore you with neuroscience up the wazoo, but I can tell you just think of two groups. So one group in this study is told, think about your mother and how much you love and appreciate her. And then the other group is told, focus on a moment or a person that has made you angry. What do you think researchers concluded? The obvious, right? That the group that focused on the love and appreciation, that had gratitude, did well, way better in terms of mental health, but even heart rhythms than the group that focused on resentment. We call them the resentment group. And so there's a relationship between not just how you feel, but your heart rate. And that's because acetylcholine is a hormone that your nervous system releases that decreases your heart rate. And it's from your parasympathetic system. So when you're focusing on gratitude, when you're focusing on the things you love and appreciate, you can actually slow your heart rate. And you compare that in contrast to the things that get you really rattled up. focusing on a moment or a person that makes you angry can increase your heart rate, can send blood to the muscles, because historically, from an evolutionary psychological perspective, you're thinking of these threats. That's what your amygdala does. It's the very reactive part of your brain. You've got that part of your brain that's constantly scanning, looking for threats and fear. And you play into that when you focus on the things that will literally cause you to have alertness, boost your heart rate. And sometimes we need that when we're in those genuine situations. Other times, you're just stewing in resentment, not understanding you're emotionally regulating in a negative way. You're modulating and you don't even know that. So gratitude can actually, when you're focusing on the right thing, physiologically help you. It can physiologically make changes. Now, show of thumbs if you think that's really cool. We do have some control over our conscious mind, but the more we practice affirmations and mindfulness, the more we're able to embed in our core, rewire the neural pathways so that we can respond instead of react in a less stressed way. And that is something that I'm really loving about ways to reduce stress, is that it's not just about fluffy words and positive psychology. There's actual science behind how you can do that. And we'll get into some of the more practical things in a minute. But the other thing is, so you understand then how you can slow your heart rate. And the other thing is the actual ability to regulate your emotions, like I said, because that part of the brain responsible for processing emotions and memories right away is impacted by gratitude intervention. It's just amazing. So you can actually have your nervous system cooperate, decrease your heart rate, and you can have that part of your brain that's telling you that there's threats or fear or danger be an arrested situation where it's immediately calming down. I think that's amazing. So what does that mean for us as entrepreneurs? Don't you think you get a lot more done when you are in this productive, creative mindset where the dopamine has been released and it's flowing through and it's quieting out all that noise with your body's threat response? And what does that do in the long term? What does that do in the long term? It's reframing. It's reframing your mindset. And that's how I would tell you to use gratitude to your advantage, how to really leverage it as a business owner and entrepreneur. Whenever there is a negative situation that happens, and I don't have to go through the scenarios because you already know you're in business, I want you to remember you have some type of control over your heart rate, over the stress that would normally be outside of your control, how your body reacts. And I want you to tap into that. Whether it be that you get up and you walk around and you take a walk and you think about 20 things you're grateful for. Most of the time we don't even hit 20 because we start to think about a bunch of other things, or maybe get distracted, or maybe as you're enjoying the weather and you're grateful for your family or your friends and you start thinking, oh, I need to call this person. But it starts to take effect when you do it. Now, it may be item number 15 that you're grateful for before you start feeling physically different. But when you practice it, you will see yourself get back in control. You regulate your emotions in that way. So I see that there's some still joining, and that's awesome. You can still share the room. As I said, this was not up for very long, and so I didn't have a lot of time for people to come in. But if you share, we can have more people find ways to reduce their stress. That I think is really helpful, just knowing that you have some kind of control. And then there's the journaling, which people don't want to hear and don't want to do. But what if you were to just make that list of 20 instead of in your head as you're walking around outside thinking about all the lovely things, nature, and the things that you have? What if you just write a list and you put it under your bed and you read it every night before you go to bed? Did you do that yet? Have you done that before? And if not, can you commit to doing that and see what happens to your stress levels? See how you actually fall asleep quicker. There's been studies that are done. Don't count the sheep. Count your blessings. Count all of the things that you're grateful for, and you can actually start releasing hormones that help you to fall asleep. Am I the only one that thinks this is really cool? We have way more control over our lives than we think. So if you get in a bind, remember, walk around and be grateful. Start thinking of those things. Meditate if you can. Shift your mindset. Shankar, I'm going to give you a chance to jump in before I continue on. If you have something you would like to add. If not, that's fine.
Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Gratitude and emotional regulation. I just find that gratitude and reaching one's goals in life seem to go hand in hand. It's almost like they are part of a circle that keeps flowing, and if you remove one ingredient, whether that be gratitude or success, then that flow stops. So I find myself that it just is this column that spirals upward, this column that is really strengthened by gratitude and success and reaching one's goals. And I don't know about you, but whenever I reach my goals and I feel that I am leaving a legacy in life, my emotions are pretty much in check, or it's much easier to have them in check because I feel that I go in the direction that I desire. So everything is really intertwined, and I think that's very powerful to understand that in life, certain things you want to achieve would require a recipe, and every part of the recipe is important. Just like when you make dough and you forget something, maybe just a pinch of something, salt or whatever the recipe is, it doesn't come out right. And it's the same with success in life. And that's what I think about a lot. So gratitude and emotional regulation are definitely two foundational ingredients for that.
So there's something you said that really made me think about the RAS. It's the bouncer in your brain, the reticular activating system. And the RAS and gratitude are interconnected because you're talking about basically like manifestation. And so when you're focusing on these, when you reframe your mind and opportunity and you see all of these things, your brain starts cooperating with you. And so you're programming it essentially to focus and perceive things in a certain way. And now you have more opportunity. It's like if you're going to get a new car, and you're interested in a certain model, and then all of a sudden you start noticing that car model is everywhere. Can anyone relate? Or maybe you're thinking about getting your hair done or your nails done or buying certain clothes, and then all of a sudden it's everywhere. Maybe it's even a house or a vacation or something that you want to do. Give me a show of hearts if you can relate. You focus on something and then all of a sudden it's everywhere. And that's not because there's more cars on the road. It's not because suddenly everybody has started to, that you are the trendsetter, and your fashion has now all of a sudden become the talk of the town. It's because your RAS, the reticular activating system, is now tuned in to recognize it. And Shankar, maybe you want to sweep in because I got carried away, but it's this fascinating way, this interconnectedness of gratitude and the bouncer in your brain, the RAS, and getting more of what you're focusing on when you shift your perspective.
Yeah, I think I would have to repeat myself. And that's my RAS, right? Everything I see is linked to the success that I want to achieve in life. And that's a good thing, because you can connect anything and everything to outcomes that may be different in nature. But that's me. I like to live my American dream, fulfill it, and I am every day. And every day it evolves. And we just spoke this morning how we are more and more surrounded by positive, successful achievers in life. And we all know how important that is, to surround yourselves with the people that you want to be or become.
And we're
Which
getting
is
more of it in our lives, right?
which is the whole point of this morning session, by the way, is to give everyone and ourselves that chance every single day.
Absolutely. I guess just when you acknowledge the things that go right in your life, you really do improve your whole mood, your overall outlook. And beyond all of the benefits that happen to your body and your mind, you get to live. Like you get to live this life. But the opposite can be true when you focus on the negative, when you focus on the positive, you focus on building your network and having these amazing people in your life and all of that. When you focus on the negative, suddenly you start seeing that everywhere too. And cultivating a resilient mindset and having emotional regulation is not an overnight process. It's something that you have to adopt, something you have to be very conscious of. And so these things like a gratitude walk, not just because everything is going right, but training yourself to do it even when things are going wrong, can help you to transform yourself in a positive way, like in a truly, you're becoming a better person because you're being consistent and you're appreciating life. So if anyone has anything, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Shankar.
No, and one thing that I notice is the more things we can afford to bring into our lives due to us doing well with what we do, and that is materialistic things, but also luxury experiences, things that just make us enjoy life more, the gratitude grows as well. And I think that is very important to be aware of the blessings that we have, because we know it's all too easy to get used to a higher standard of living or just having things in abundance and then completely forget that is not a given, right? But this walking through life with gratitude for the blessings and the abundance and the success we have is just so important.
Yeah. And I'm going to start doing something. So I don't know how the gratitude walk, like I said, when you're intentionally thinking about all the things you're grateful for, which is great because you get some exercise in there too and you have that mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
What about gratitude messaging? What if we make it a habit to send a message or an email to someone and then just express appreciation? I don't know when we would do that, but what are some ways that we can incorporate gratitude specifically as a way to emotionally regulate into our lives? Like, I'm going to really start when I'm raging. I'm just going to start thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for, walking around like a mad woman. And then maybe, I don't know, what would be the reason to send a gratitude message, but I really want to walk my talk, pun intended.
Yeah, I don't know. Come talk to me because I always remind you of how grateful we're supposed to
This
be.
is true.
And when I say it at the wrong moment, I get a look. But if you
A
need
little
that
scowl,
message,
curl of the lip. Yeah. Jace, welcome. What are your thoughts?
I'm loving this talk, so thank you, International Car, for always hosting this
Are
event
you
every
in the
single
gym? What are
morning.
you doing, Jace? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, so where I'm at, they every Tuesday, every 2 weeks, they do some sort of construction, so I have to leave. So I come to the Joe the Juice. So it does sound like I'm at
Ah,
a gym, but no, I already hit my gym this morning. I'm already got that squared away. But I actually wanted to ask you about something, right? And this is something that recently started happening to me more and more, as I feel like I'm gaining traction and becoming a little bit more successful each month that passes on. I'm realizing that there's this fear monger that's sitting in the back of my mind if something goes wrong, right? Where again, I pray every day. I write down my gratitude journal every day, but I'm always there's this thing behind me in the back of my mind that's always creeping up, and I'm noticing when I give it life, it tends to settle and comfort inside my mindset, and it creates some sort of havoc where it's like becoming comfortable with where I'm at, and I just don't want that to be my reality, even though I feel like I'm living pretty darn good life. I'm not satisfied with it. So I'm curious
mm,
to know what maybe are some sort of strategies of implementation that I could put in place in a daily routine of mine in order to avoid that from happening, because I'm noticing it. I'm really noticing it, and I'm like, I don't want that. I want to keep going. You know what I mean? So that's what my question is to you both.
yeah,
yeah.
that's a good question. Andrea, you want to go first? I have a
I'll
few
keep it really
thoughts.
quick. So remember, there's
Oh.
attitudes of mindfulness, Jace. And one of them, I think, is letting go or letting be. Apologies, letting be. And also non striving. And when you just allow everything to be, this is really difficult because it is mindfulness and it must be practiced. You're consciously telling yourself to be where you are right now, not where you were yesterday or tomorrow or the future. You're living in the present moment. So there's a few attitudes of mindfulness. There's acceptance and there's letting be. And there's also this idea that nothing is permanent. There's an impermanence that you have to accept. We're not going to be young forever. We're not going to be where we are. Things will change. But accepting it and being accepting it doesn't even mean you're okay with it. It just means it is what it is. Go ahead, Shankar. What do you have to add?
Yeah, I thought about my grandfather a lot these last days, and he was from the outside a very successful man, I would say, upper middle class in Luxembourg, achieved lots of material goals. But I knew, knowing him, that he was not satisfied because he never, ever in his life broke out of his little safety box. He was very much concerned about safety and predictability. And that, by the way, is very much the mindset of Luxembourg. That's one of the reasons I left for the United States, is because this nation is such a favorable environment for people who try to go the extra mile. But it made me realize that life requires courage. You should have, my answer to you, Jace, is make it a point to be as courageous as possible as you can accept every single day. And we have to, some of us have to tap into our warrior nature. And when I say warrior, I don't mean go and slay other people, but you have to constantly slay against your own demons, slay your own demons, and overcome your fears. And just if you think there is something more to be gotten and you long for it, then you got to find the courage to go for it. And I know you know that, but I'm noticing that whenever I bring up an immense amount of courage, such as, for example, leaving a stable job and all of that, immigrating to another country, starting to be an entrepreneur, starting to do non-traditional investments, starting to speak my mind. Whenever I do that, the returns are so beautiful, and I feel that I really live. Because at the end of the day, I think one of the worst things that could happen to me personally is having regret, is looking back at my life and say, that was a comfortable ride, wasn't it? But I haven't lived and I haven't found out what is truly possible, what potential dwells in me, right? So this daily reminder that courage is maybe a moral duty to some of us, to our souls, to our beings. That's my response, Jace.
And we're going to close with a couple of affirmations. And for everyone, take heart and have courage. And remember, you have survived 100% of your toughest days. And that no matter what comes, you do have resilience. You have something that you have overcome where you can apply it to whatever challenge comes next. And so when you take your gratitude walk, when poop hits the fan, we're going to all do these gratitude walks, okay? Not just when everything is going well, but when things are particularly hard or confusing, or we're just in some kind of state, right? And we're going to say this. With each step, I am thankful for the blessings surrounding me. I breathe in gratitude and exhale stress. I appreciate the present moment. Every step I take is a reminder of the strength in my life. And then take some breaths and remember to stay in the present moment, for that is where you truly are at this moment. Shankar, you've unmiked? I don't know if
I never muted.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thank you all for being here. How about we do the rest of this week, since it's Thanksgiving, filled with gratitude? So it may be something similar that you see, gratitude and emotional regulation, but we'll have a different spin on it. And we're going to do something every day to talk about gratitude, because there's so many benefits and we see that now. And hopefully you're going to walk away with one thing at least you can take and apply to your everyday life to reduce stress and have a mindful day. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.